Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today I am delighted because the lovely folks at the Pokémon Company have given me some cards to exclusively reveal from the upcoming Phantasmal Flames expansion. And one of the cards I get to reveal here is a very, very nice playable stadium card that I think an awful lot of you are going to want to have a play around with. But the other card I get to reveal, well, they have a trio of cards really. Yeah, it's Mamoswine. The lovely folks over at the Pokémon Company, I can assure you, they do know how much I love Mamoswine. Look at it. It's literally in the logo of my channel. Pokémon know how much I love Mamoswine. And there's a new Mamoswine in the set. I had an inkling when they told me I was going to be getting a reveal for this set. I had an inkling it was probably going to be Mamoswine. It totally is. I am delighted. The question is, should I be delighted about how good the Mamoswine is? Well, I kind of like it. Now, if we look at the pre-evolutions, we've got an adorable Swinub, single energy 10, 2 energy 20. It's got 70 HP, which makes it searchable with Buddy Buddy Poffin. Has the maximum amount of HP while being searchable with Buddy Buddy Poffin, which is cool, but it's nothing too special. We've got a Piloswine, 2 energy, 30, flip a coin, if heads, 30 more. I'm going to be honest with you, there's nothing in the pre-evolutions which is particularly special, other than, of course, they are pre-evolutions of Mamoswine. But then we get to the Mamoswine itself. Is it any good? Well, you know I'm going to be testing it and trying to make it work. You see, we got a Stage 2 Pokemon here. And in 2025, Stage 2 Pokemons tend to be quite big. It's got 180 HP. That's about as big as single prize Stage 2 Pokemon get. And we got an attack here for 3 colorless energy that does 120 damage. And if there's a stadium in play, it actually does 240. And then you discard the stadium. So your goal here very simply is Ignition Energy. Whack an Ignition Energy on there. Hit for 240, enjoy your day, frankly. That's what we're looking for here. You do have to have a stadium in play, and I think we are relying on Ignition Energy. Yes, we do have the Chen Pao in Paldea Evolve that can accelerate as much water energy as you like during your turn, but this is a lot of energy, and then you're relying on a Stage 2 in addition to Mamoswine, and it's just, yeah, you can use Baxcalibur, but it's just not going to work. That pair of Chien-Pao and Baxcalibur, they're cool. We like them. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure it's going to be the most reliable way to get it rolling. This isn't. I'm playing a bunch of Stadium. Maybe you're playing a Stadium or two to help me out as well. I'm using Ignition Energy. I'm hitting 240 a turn. Let's do this. And it is actually worth noting as well, we did have Mamoswine EX that came around in Journey Together. Which, yes, I did get a reveal of that one as well. Pokemon really do know how much I like Mamoswine. And that's got the ability Mammoth Hauler, lets you search for a Pokemon during your turn, but also Rumbling March does 40 more damage for each Stage 2 Pokemon on your bench. So this is in the same evolution line as Mamoswine EX, and it is something that can be put into that deck. And it's all colourless energy, so even though Mamoswine EX needs fighting, etc., it's fine. There is an argument to put this in as a 1 or 2 card tech in a Mamoswine EX deck so that you can get a single prize attacker that does fit neatly into the deck. Remember, of course, that Mamoswine and Mamoswine EX do have different names, so you can play 4 EX and 4 regular, although you only want 1 or 2 of the regular. The other attack is 4 energy, 200, discard 2. It's more energy, it's less damage. I'm not loving this attack nearly as much. Here you need a water energy and an ignition, or you just go for a Baxcalibur deck and go full water. I'm not as much of a fan of this one. I think if you're building this Mamoswine, you've got ignition energy, you've got Mamoswine EX, you combine it with Wreck, you have fun. But the lovely folks at the Pokémon Company didn't just give me a Mamoswine to show you. they also gave me Battle Cage. And I'm telling you right now, this is one of the very best cards in the set. This is a very impactful card. This card will see a lot of play. I'm not making a prediction that this card might see a bunch of play. I am telling you right now that this card will see a bunch of play. It's redonkulous. What it does is prevents all damage counters from being placed on bench Pokemon, yours and your opponent's, by effects of attacks and abilities from the opponent's Pokemon. It stops damage counters from attacks and damage counters from abilities, but only onto your bench. It doesn't protect your active. But this helps against so many things. Like, one of the obvious things here is just Dragapult. Dragapult does 200 to the active and drops 6 damage counters on your bench. That is ridiculous for 2 energy. It's a phenomenal attack. But with Battle Cage now, your opponent doesn't drop 6 damage counters, so all of a sudden Dragapult EX turns into 2 energy 200. That is not as good. And sure, they can replace a stadium before they do this, but now all of a sudden they've got to have a counter stadium before they start launching their attack. That is not an ideal situation for them to be in. This gives you protection against that. It's wonderful. And the great thing about using this against Dragapult is Dragapult only drops damage on the bench. Which means, yeah, they're not going to be able to do this. There's no attacking the active to get around it. They're already doing 200 to the active. No, ladies and gentlemen, they are just going to sit there and do 200 to the active. Your bench is going to be protected. This is very impactful. Do not think this is going to be the only thing this works against. How about Frostlass? Weirdly from the same set, from Twilight Masquerade. That was a heck of a set. And what we've got from Frostlass here is the ability Freezing Shroud. During Pokemon Checkup, put 1 damage counter on each Pokemon that has an ability, yours and your opponent's, except any Frostlass. But Battle Cage says, prevent all damage counters from being placed on bench Pokemon by effects of attacks and abilities. So the fact that it happens during Pokemon Checkup is irrelevant. Yeah. So basically now Frostlass, now it can still put a damage on the active. It absolutely can still drop that 1 damage counter on the active, but your opponent's damage output now from a Frostlass just got massively reduced, and that's absolutely huge. And you already hopefully see where we're going with this. Dragapult, massively nerfed when Battle Cage is on the field. Frostlass rendered nearly ineffective when Battle Cage is on the field. But one of the most fun ones here is Munkidori. Now, the ruling of Munkidori is awkward, but I'm just going to remind you guys, I've been playing this game for a very long time now, and we've seen rulings like this before, and I am completely sure about this ruling. Weirdly, Munkidori was also in Twilight Masquerade. Apparently, Battle Cage hates Twilight Masquerade. Now, Munkidori's Adrenabrain says once during your turn, if this Pokemon has any darkness energy attached, you may move up to 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponents. Now, you cannot move damage counters to your opponent's bench Pokemon using Munkidori. It doesn't work. But here's the fun thing. You can actually move it to the active. Remember that Battle Cage only protects the bench, doesn't protect the active. But there's a fun ruling here with Munkidori when you try and use the ability to move damage counters from your Pokemon to your opponents. There's nothing in Battle Cage that stops you moving damage counters from your Pokemon. It only stops you moving damage to your opponents. So when you use Munkidori's ability, you move the damage off your bench. That works fine. And then you go to place it, the game won't let you because Battle Cage is there, and the damage just disappears. So even though you can't move damage to your opponent using Munkidori, you can still use Munkidori to heal your bench, which is kind of fun. These are just some examples of how Battle Cage is going to impact the format. I assure you this is one of the best stadiums in the game. It is one of the best cards in Phantasmal Flames. This is a legitimately great card. I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, this one is going to see a whole bunch of play. As for Mamoswine, I'm going to be testing it. I'm hoping it's going to be good. And you never know. Maybe it could be a little bit of a sleeper hit. Either way, I want to know what you think about all of this in the comment section. So go nuts! Be nice. Oh, and one more shout out to the lovely folks over at the Pokemon Company for letting me do the reveal. They are awesome. And the fact that they keep letting me reveal like the Mamoswine cards is so cool and I love it. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about, well, Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And I've actually just started a TikTok, which is just, again, the Wasi. Check me out on that. I'm going to be posting a bunch of event stuff there from various events. So if you like Pokemon, you should be following that as well. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.